With our files on the way to the printer, I loaded up the bike for a quick visit with our Ohio-based print facility, Freeport Press. Freeport was established in the late 1800s and today is one of the largest employers in the region. They have become one of only 7 printers in North America to install a Komori System 38, the most state-of-the-art web offset press in the world. Freeport runs about 45 jobs per week on average, specializing in short-run niche magazines and catalog. Our process begins with the customer service department. Between Amanda here and our sales rep John Hemming, we have constant contact with the changes in our job and any special needs from month to month. When our files show up at Freeport, they come into the e-dock. A 20 terabyte system ensures that no matter how big the files are, they will have the space to move them through. Kelly Hart, pre-press manager, opens the files for inspection, prints out hard copy proofs with a laser printer, and once they receive his blessings, the files are renamed with the company job number and they get dropped into the ripping system. The ripper will take the original pages set up in 4 colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and separate them into plates for each of those colors. These will be made into individual plates that will print in different steps on the press, one at a time as the paper rolls through. First the black, then the cyan, then the magenta, and finally the yellow. This is called process color or 4-color printing. From there, the single files are arranged into what are called SIGs. SIGs are 4-page, in our case, formats that are arranged in orientation so when they run through the press, the process of folding and bindery will have them fall into the right place. As an example, our front and back cover are on the same SIG as pages from the center of the magazine, so that when the 22 3/4 inch page is folded down to the 8 1/4 by 10 3/4 of the finished magazine, they will nest in the right position. Once the impositions and pagination is done, it goes over to another department to be plated. Freeport uses direct-to-plate technology, which means it prints straight from the image files to a 12-gauge aluminum printer plate. These aluminum plates start with a coated finish, and anywhere the thermal laser touches, it removes the finish from the plate. Once the plate comes out of the thermal laser printer, it goes through a processor. It uses a chemical bath to wash off the residue left behind from the thermal laser. The processing is a lot like developing film, but in the very last step, a glaze is applied to the plate to protect it through the rest of the printing process. Once all the plates arrive at the press, an operator loads them into the machine that will fold the edges to prepare them to be loaded into the press. Then they sit along the press and wait for the jobs to switch out. The Komori press that CycleSource is printed on is the most automated press in the world. It actually loads its own plates without any assistance, other than the press operator who stacks the plates in their holding pens. Once the press reaches the end of the job, it switches out the plates all at once. It even switches out its own paper, in the case that the paper we use from one job to another is different. The Komori handles it all automatically.
Komori System 38S, and it's a 5-unit press, so the first 4 units are used for process color, which is your black, your cyan, your magenta, and your yellow. And then the 4th unit we use as a coating tower, and so we put coating material in there for varnishes, spot, gloss, things like that. And they're also using it for a PMS color right now, so they're having a little bit of problems when they're changing out and rolling.
Offset printing is basically just the concept of grease and water don't mix, or oil and water don't mix, okay? So on your plate, the image on the plate, which is right grading, which is the image you're going to print, is actually raised, and that's what the ink sits on. It transfers. The area of the plate that doesn't transfer ink, that's then exposed, is actually recessed and it holds water. And so it's just a simple balance of ink on the plate and water on the plate. So the water fills up the plate up to the point of the print surface. The ink lays on top of the raised emulsion on the plate. It transfers to a rubber blanket. And basically all those rubber blankets are doing is they're stamping one color right on top of the other. It's just like like a rubber stamp. They're stamping those images top and bottom on all 4 colors. You have to be perfectly in register, and that's how you get a printed product. That's how you see protein.
With the ability to create over 50,000 impressions an hour, it's hard to see the similarities between today's printing technology and its foundation. But much of the process is tied directly to the history of printing. In place of the hand-carved movable type that Gutenberg used when he first printed the Bible back in the mid-1400s, you now see features like printer's plates and printing blankets. Take the web press that you see here, for instance. This is the same type of machinery that they've used for decades to print local newspapers and catalogs and magazines. The only difference today is through automation, they've managed to minimize the amount of manpower that it takes to operate it. You can see proof of this at the pressman station, where normally the head pressman would have been in charge of constantly checking and correcting the color and registration of the magazine versus the printed proof. Instead, the Komori press uses a Quadtech register system that reads the color and registration constantly, running back and forth as the pages fly by. Any adjustments that need to be made happen so fast that it's almost impossible to see the difference. This makes this seamless technology that's almost error-proof. As each section of the magazine is finished, another machine packs them into bricks. The bricks are then manually loaded onto a skid and taken to another room where they'll be loaded into the bindery system. Here in the bindery, each section of the magazine is loaded into a specific hopper. The hoppers drop them down onto a moving rail, and then one at a time, an additional section is added. At the end of the line, what they call a saddle stitcher puts 2 staples in the spine of the magazine before sending it out to its last stop, where it gets trimmed to its final size. At this point, we have a finished product. The magazines are packed into bundles of 50 and placed on pallets. Then they're sent to the warehouse, where they'll wait to be shipped out. From there, UPS and other carriers deliver the magazine all over the United States, Canada, and parts of Australia. 50 different motorcycle shops and thousands of retailers, and to CycleSource headquarters. It's always cool to flip through that first copy of a new issue, but you better hurry up, because the next 30 days starts tomorrow morning.